With the release of any new FIFA game, EA usually throws out a ton of promotional content to hype up their new game. Typically these promotions are filled with cliched marketing phrases like next generation and breakthrough technology, so it can be kind of difficult to tell if there's actually anything new with the game. One common complaint about the FIFA series is that it really doesn't change too much with each new release, and that it may not actually be worth spending $60 on every single year. However, between early reports from the beta and the developer conferences hosted at E3, it appears that FIFA may really be coming into its own in its second year with the Frostbite engine, and that players will really have some new features to look forward to in FIFA 18. One brand new feature in FIFA 18 is the ability to quickly make a substitution without impacting the flow of the game. That is, you can simply press a button mid-game or in a cutscene to initiate a quick sub that will be applied during the next appropriate timeout. It appears that you will have to set up your preferred quick subs before the game actually starts, but hopefully they will allow you to save these selections so that you don't have to make them again every single game. Although this is a pretty small change and it won't have an enormous impact on gameplay, don't downplay the potential for this to be pretty game-changing in some situations. FIFA is a very psychological game, and the loss of momentum that comes when a player abruptly pauses to make a sub can be actually quite critical. All in all, this feature could have a pretty significant impact on gameplay. Generally in FIFA, you don't have too much control over the kind of cross that you want to execute. In FIFA 17, you can do a ground cross, a driven cross, or just a regular lobbed one, but even that doesn't provide all that much diversity in crossing. One brand new feature of FIFA 18 is a complete overhaul of the crossing system that includes 4 distinctively different styles of crossing: the dangerous cross, the whipped cross, the searching cross, and the lobbed cross. From the promotional video shown here, you'll be able to generally figure out what these actually mean, but if you'd like more information, I'll link to an article on FIFA Encyclopedia which outlines exactly what these crosses mean and even shows you some real-life examples of what to expect. These crosses are potentially so interesting because of the variety of options allows you to make a judgment of the crossing situation rather than just saying, well, I need to make a cross here. In FIFA 17, EA released The Journey, which was generally meant to be a more cinematic version of career mode. If you're not familiar, The Journey was an interactive story mode in which you played as Alex Hunter, a 17-year-old rising star. The Journey allowed you to take Hunter from being a young player with huge aspirations all the way up to being a decorated Premiership star. In The Journey, you play Hunter in matches and make critical career decisions for him. The whole story had hours of cutscenes and basically amounted to being a short movie. The Journey actually received very positive reviews in FIFA 17, and EA has decided to bring it back in FIFA 18. The new version of The Journey seems to focus on Hunter's career after establishing himself as a top player, juggling football decisions but also the real-world implications of being famous and in the spotlight. Hopefully EA has written a good story, as I could see this becoming overly dramatic, but judging by last year's version, it should be pretty entertaining. The Journey is an important new feature in the FIFA series because it might persuade otherwise undecided FIFA players to purchase a new game every year. As we've discussed, some players really don't believe that FIFA changes enough each year to justify a new purchase, but this kind of content might be the right direction for FIFA to go in if they want to avoid that image and keep new players coming back each year. It seems like every year, EA claims that they have completely overhauled the dribbling system, and FIFA 18 is no different in this regard. Fortunately though, it seems like there may be some real truth to it this year. Traditionally, you can only change direction when dribbling once with each step that your player takes. With the use of EA's powerful new Frostbite game engine, they have brought this time down to once each frame. This is a massive improvement, and it shows. Where players used to feel rather sluggish and unresponsive at times, they now feel like they respond exactly to the dribbling motion that you have in mind. Most people who have gotten the opportunity to try out FIFA 18 so far cite this as being one of the most impressive new features, so this could be truly game-changing for FIFA. For a long time, EA has been gathering real player movement data by inviting players to their headquarters, making them wear some kind of strange jumpsuit, and then recording their movements. The end product, however, was actually pretty cool and resulted in a more realistic game. In the past, this data was used to script how players move in a general sense. In other words, EA used this data to better understand how a professional player kicks a ball or jumps to head across, and what that movement looks like generally. In FIFA 18, EA is using this to recreate distinctive player movements in the game. For example, in FIFA 18, Ronaldo runs in his unmistakable trademark style, with his arms whipping back and forth at his sides. These little details could do a lot in terms of adding an extra degree of realism to the game, but they could also have a huge effect on gameplay. To compare this to something that's already in the game, when you know whether a player is left or right footed, that can be a huge advantage in choosing when to shoot and how to shoot. So maybe when you know how a particular player tends to move on the ball, you may be able to take advantage of that knowledge. When FIFA can recreate these little nuances in player style, it certainly helps the game to be more realistic, but it could also make gameplay a lot more diverse and fun. One of the more cryptic and confusing aspects of FIFA, as of the last few releases of the game, is the concept of exciting moments. EA have been more open about it recently, but it's no secret nowadays that a decent amount of scripting goes into the game. EA try to do their best to make it, well, not really seem like scripting, and their best manifestation of this is these context-specific, exciting moments. Here's one example of this to explain exactly what this means. When a player is running into the box and a loud pass gets sent into him overhead, this is typically a very difficult goal to score with just one touch, both in real life and in earlier FIFAs. However, recently this type of situation seems to result in a goal a little bit more often than you would expect. A decent player will end up doing a Van Persie style volley that results in a beautiful goal. This is because FIFA wants to make it a little bit more commonplace for novice players to score amazing goals from time to time. The overall goal of all this is just to keep the game a little bit more exciting. In FIFA 18, EA plans to add even more of these exciting moments so that FIFA can emulate real life with even more accuracy.